Hello, and welcome to the Fluid Voice. I am Ozma in the Dark, the gracious person who runs the technical side of things, and I have full control over all this computer. Anyways, still rocking she, they pronouns, and I am here, as always, with Christy. How are you doing today, Christy?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm still she, her, and yeah, I'm good. It's my birthday coming up next Friday. I'm gonna be old.
Yep, my mom is still older, and my mom is still in better shape than me, so. Perfect. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and I just found out that I'm old.
The question is, are you...
Pronouns.
What?
How old am I?
No, well, you don't have to say how old you are.
Well, I can say how old I am. I'm 59.
Oh, okay. So both my parents are still older than you and Christy and play more D&D. And, well, my mom does. My dad, not so much. R&D is our wonderful, lovely guest who we've had on before. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am not that old, even though my birthday is also coming up. I forget that Christy and I are birthday month buddies.
Yeah.
Mine's at the very end of the month, and I'm not that old, but I feel old. But I'm only finishing up I'm in my mid-30s officially on the 27th. And I think my parents are about Perfict's age. I think.
Yeah, and I'm just like 35 with a dad who was born in 1949.
Yeah.
And my mom was born in 1958.
That makes me feel better. My girlfriend is 35, so.
That said, before we get into our topic, obviously, like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video if you enjoy it. We always try to do our best to listen to feedback, unless you're just saying that we're fucking ugly bitches or whatnot, in which case that's not really helpful feedback. So, our topic today is the pervasiveness of ableism, and I immediately have a lot to say about that. So I am going to break the general rule of trying to get other people to talk first, because I have stuff to say. There are so many ableist aspects, like, everywhere in society, and once you start seeing some of these premises, like there's aspects of basically normal is a horrible word, and I hate it because every aspect of what you should be is what is normal, and every aspect of what you shouldn't be is what's abnormal. And just the use of normal in a lot of, just to frame things, oftentimes has a numerous way of getting people to regret. And yeah, I've got a lot in my mind, and I'll get out more later. I can't think of a good way to say things, and I might be waiting for food at the moment as well. Any of your initial thoughts on ableism and presidential stuff? Not presidential stuff. God damn it! I get distracted by chat.
Ozma 2024. I like that.
No, I need to get some. I'll go after the police force first. But that said, what are your initial thoughts about the ableism and the general aspects of the different ways it's seeped through society, or even if you consider it to have seeped through society. I don't know if you've got like a different opinion than me. I don't want to assume things or whatnot.
Yeah. I gotta say the one that as soon as you told me the subject of the show, Normal was the one that first stood out to me. Mostly because I think it was about a year ago. I'm still going to college. And I took a class on abnormal psychology, which if you're gonna talk about abnormal psychology, you have to define what normal psychology is. And it was very interesting to sort of look at it from that perspective, because a lot of the professor was like, okay, like normal is just a normal distribution, not a actual like this is how things are supposed to be kind of deal. So it was a very interesting trying to frame it as not a like social mandate or a social like these are acceptable things, more of like within the population this is where 66% of the population will land kind of talk. And even that it felt like the language was antiquated for that. Like we still use it, we still use normal and normal distribution and abnormal behavior and things like that, or abnormal psychology. But the language of describing it always is starting to feel antiquated when you try to talk to somebody else about it, especially outside of psychology and outside of science.
Perfect or Christy, what are your initial thoughts before we dive into this?
I'm just thinking when R&D was on my channel not long ago, we agreed beforehand to not use the word crazy. And yet, so pervasive is that ableist phrase word that I wound up using it by the end of the show.
Yeah, well, not trying to use it is just crazy art.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And
That
it was kind of, and then we talked about that for a little bit, but it was
It's part of the language and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
when I was young, the R word and the TY slur and all of that was pretty common, and for that matter, so was M and all.
the R word is still far too common in gaming circles.
Oh,
It's far too common, and like it was something that had to be brought up in like my race and ethnicity class last semester. The professor's like, we're not doing this, and this is to like a group of adults in 2020 who like you still have to tell them that's not an okay thing to use, and it still came up on more than one occasion throughout the semester.
Yeah. Anyways.
yeah. Well, there are people who are out there in society. You've dealt with them, and that's their diagnosis.
Yeah, but
they have to live with that every day. You can't use that as just your, Anyway.
Well, I mean,
the R word is one that's going to piss me off a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it fundamentally gets used in such a way that where it's like you are less intelligent than where you should be as a human being, so therefore it's hard for it to not be framed in such a way that puts those people as lesser in terms of society.
They're lesser people. They're lesser people. They're not as valuable. They are a bad thing. They're not stupid. They can put all that together. They understand what's being said by it. Okay. It is simply that's a cruel thing to be doing. So
yeah, so as Emily brought up the C word, it's the bad C breakdown word.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to be able to say the words to in use mention. At the
Yeah,
least.
so when we're talking about the R slower, we are talking about the word retarded, or calling someone a retard, which is an incredibly cruel way to do it, not just because partially
Well, it's
because
not-
their diagnosis, and partially because you are saying that they are fundamentally lesser as a human being. Similar with the word cripple, which is also a bad word. That said, I need to pop for a second to
Oh,
grab
sorry.
the food. So continue talking.
I'd have
Yeah,
to.
Emily Chambers should be in the room with
We can come back
because
to this
those
too.
words are devoted as part of eugenics. They were part of. I mean, they were used as part of it. They were covered as part of it. The thing with the R slur there is people say that all the time. They say, this is. They're talking about a thing or a way of doing something. They just mean it's pejorative. They just mean it as a blanket pejorative. And that's what I'm saying is they're just using it instead of bad. This is bad. And that people who have that diagnosis, there are many people who have that as a diagnosis and understand it entirely, and they understand that you're saying it's bad, and it's saying that they're bad. And they're high enough functioning that they are out in society, and you're not going to be clocking them, if you will.
Yeah. Along the mental section, I mean, people use autist as an insult, which is really
Yeah.
That was one that after whatever, so just context for whatever last week when all that GameStop stock market stuff was going on, and I was like, oh well, let's go check out what the Reddit's doing with all this GameStop stuff. And I noticed that was like the big thing that everybody within a lot of those Reddit communities were using was autistic as an insult to everybody. It was I didn't realize how pervasive that was until I kind of ended up in those online communities for a couple of days, and it's sad and disheartening.
well,
I mean,
I didn't even see this going into the psychological. When thinking about it, it's not going to go there. just want to point that out. That we're going to be talking about physical limitations and differences, and that we're not going to be talking about
well, I mean, there's a lot of crossover.
I find it interesting
with that.
that's where we turn.
well,
Yeah,
I can't.
But
can't
there is. There is.
Christy.
I can't see the chat, but I think I've used the C word about myself in conversation with Emily, but
Yeah.
I may be wrong because I'll use it for myself once in a while.
Yeah. As Emily Chambers is pointing out in the chat, that the R slur is no longer used as in the same way as a medical diagnosis, but these people are adults. It's not like that. That's a sleight of hand that isn't going to be fooling them.
But
you've now changed their diagnosis so that it doesn't have to have that word in it. They're not fooled.
I mean, a lot of this also helps with a lot of this doesn't. One of the things that doesn't help is just also, everything about any sort of psychological or physical problem is that it's a problem with the person and not a problem with our ability to help the person. Because a lot of the times, for instance, the traumatic brain injury I receive is like kind of thought in terms of how to phrase this, because it's very much, and maybe just using that is a bad example. So a lot of things, it's about there's therapy that's there to help you survive, and there's therapy to try to address aspects of your personality. And there are different ways that even therapy can be framed, and I don't know the degree to which
and I'll use the T slur, as they call it, once in a while for myself as well. But it's kind of like, for me, in a company of people who are at least understanding of that. I don't know. It's ableism is a weird thing, because it's almost hard to define, because you have your in-group and out-group things, which is a thing that I discuss a lot. But
well, there does seem to be a pervasive attitude that if you can aim it so that you hit more than 60% of the population, you're doing a good enough job. So that if you serve 60%, more than 60% of the population, that's good enough. And instead of saying that participation is really part of human rights, and it's society's job to try and make it possible for somebody to participate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even framing it in terms of participation, like, if you have a disability, depending on the disability, it's very easy to have circumstances where you don't feel like you can participate. For instance, because my anxiety and my depression, and because of the traumatic brain injury, like, and my roommate staying up too late, and being on the autism spectrum, there's a lot of factors that mess with my ability to get enough sleep. And not getting enough sleep makes it harder to get stuff done. Less sleep, especially me, I get more hypersensitive to sound and stuff like that. If I'm, depending on how low I am. So it's like,
sounds
it's
like a
very
vicious
easy
circle
to feel
there.
like I'm not contributing enough during things, because, like, I have less spoons than the average person. So you have all these elements of society that are expecting me to do that the default should be I should be able to do a certain amount and provide X amount to the rest of society, and it's very easy to feel like that it is incredibly easy to feel like I'm not doing enough just in general, and that's not like, so that's a cultural problem. You see it in capitalist circles, you see it in socialist circles, you see it in a lot of things, and you need to, it's a problem in society that I think needs to be, like, hardcore addressed and just kind of gets swept off to the side a lot.
Yeah. I relate to all of that. That's the various factors that led to me being really sick for a long time, and I was at least I'm not And I'm losing it here. Yeah, I feel often like I don't contribute enough to anything.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that all relates to how society frames things. Like, people should do what they... people shouldn't feel like their value is lesser based off of how much or how little they've contributed to society, as much as it's important to do what you can. And beating yourself up over stuff that you might not have the spoons to... I use a lot of spoon theory. I should mention it's because it's hard to describe, not having whether I have enough stuff to get stuff done or whatever, whether or not I have the psychological or physical capacity to get a lot done. So in general, it's different people have different numbers of spoons they have at the start of the day, and you use it by doing stuff that takes effort, and how much effort it takes may be dependent on various circumstances. So, like, talking to people takes... if I'm tired enough and I'm hypersensitive enough to sound, talking with people takes spoons or whatever. Streaming takes spoons. I realized I didn't have enough. I mean, I took a break from streaming World of Warcraft Classic this weekend because it wouldn't have been healthy for me to do so psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, just for the record, I didn't do a Tuesday show yet, so I haven't recorded one because I have not been up to it at all this week. It's been pretty...
No, I played hooky on Wednesday to take a mental health day, so you need those days or weeks or whatever. You need that time.
Yeah. But I mean, but I mean, every aspect of there, yeah, it's just there's a lot expected, and what people can do is different. And I think society, in my opinion, society needs to be framed in such a way that it can respect what people can do and what they can't. And I realize that would involve a different society because capitalism is at its core a specific set of abilities that not everyone has.
Yeah.
Not everyone can like push real hard and get a lot of sales in, or not everyone has spoons to deal with people every day at the grocery store.
Yeah. We definitely, I think, as a society, push that idea of pushing yourself to like workaholics, or being a workaholic's a good thing. Not having a work-life balance is a good thing when you're at work 60 hours a week. That's normal. That's what you should be. It's if you're there earlier than everyone else, you're somehow more valuable than the people who show up on time or whatever. We push that quite a bit. I work very hard to like train my coworkers in my office to not show up early on a constant basis. I had one of my younger coworkers who I share an office with. I started just giving him chips every time he showed up on time and not early. I'd give him a bag of chips just to get him to show up on time rather than early, because he was like, I have all this work to do. It's like, well, too bad. Like, you're paid from 8:30 to 5. That's what you're paid for. You're not paid for the other time. So don't work for free ever. Like, you're not paid enough for this shit.
Yeah, well, that relates to another aspect of that maybe this is just the stream where Ozma rants about ableism, because she's been salty about some of the aspects. So, like, there are days in which I can do a or at the very least I can appear to do a neurotypical day, and then you get phrases like, you know, that an attitude that if I try hard enough I can be just as good as neurotypical people in sorting out a day, and that's not necessarily how that works. I mean, admittedly, it doesn't help that I'm dealing with like a traumatic brain specialist soon.
Light, not fall out stuff. And not calling it out is less polite than calling it out, I think. I mean, would we? I mean, just in general, would we be happier if people called that transphobia? That would be nice. You know. I would kind of like to be a few years ago I had a really nice date and it was going very well, and we took it on to a restaurant to continue the date, and then I took my cane out, which I hadn't during the first argument. I took the cane out of my car, and that broke the thing. And that was the breaking point. Even though she'd been told beforehand, I'm pretty clear. I kind of like, okay, these are all the reasons you might not like me beforehand. It was the actual physically.
That kind of.
Go ahead.
Huh?
That kind of sucks. I'm sorry that you had that problem, but I don't know how to interfere with people's personal choices in those ways.
No. That was just, this is when I think of ableism, this is where I go to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that is kind of ableism. I mean, that really is, but
yeah.
I mean,
and that maybe if society was less ableist, that would be less likely to happen, if you understand. In people's heads, it wouldn't be a sign of weakness. It wouldn't be that kind of a thing in there, stigmatized, a stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, also, I don't know. I just
talked about having had a couple of strokes, but then feel how much damage I was doing. I have the middle of my back, and it's pinched on my nerves since puberty. So I have not been a day without pain since puberty. And it affects the way my ability to walk. It affects a lot of things.
Yeah.
You
I
see the
mean-
pictures. You see the pictures of me live. You'll always see me standing with 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, which has a lot to do with just being able to not fall down. Because if I get a sudden twinge, then it's like screaming at me. There's also and it's a huge part of my life. It affects everything I do, and yet I never talk about it probably because of social stigma. I even Emily, but I didn't describe what it was until just now, and we've been chatting through Messenger for a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't. The social stigmas definitely don't help. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. There seems to be a technical issue. Come on.
Yeah.
As Emily Chambers is pointing out, it's also preserved as a sign of moral failure, which makes it super fun. But yeah, that by and large, not just especially psychological, that somehow it is a failure on your part too. You're just not producing enough spoons. Why don't you just make more?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And you go, that's not how this works.
There's definitely almost like the same kind of like work ethicness to disabilities. Like if you just work hard enough at it, you shouldn't be disabled, or you shouldn't have this thing. Just stop being sad, dumbass. Why are you depressed? Stop, just be better at it. And if you work hard enough at it, it should be fine. Clearly, it does entirely misunderstands how disabilities are and how they work.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you get a mixture of sort of attitude and the sort of pitying attitude where it's very much, I feel sorry that you exist. That sucks that you exist. Because like, if you have a disability and you can do things, if you have a disability and you can do things, then you're not working hard enough. And if you can't do the general amount of stuff, then it's sad that you exist. I'm having weird stream problems. I'm double checking.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of like,
it's buffering a lot.
yeah. And I noticed like it reset the time. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just,
And yeah, I'm getting that too.
yeah.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Sorry about technical issues, which are completely outside of my control. This is apparently going to be a technical issue day.
This is my let's hide my name, shall we? This is still using my legal name. This is the stuff I use for my back issues. A particular kind of anti-inflammatory, so that the red stuff around the nerve doesn't swell. Painkiller and different anti-swelling agent for that area around the muscle, because it's right underneath the muscle.
Yeah.
So there you
yeah,
go.
it's just, don't know. It just seems like another case of othering,
Yeah.
which also doesn't help.
I'm getting a lot of shudder from you too, or jitter from you too. From
Yeah, I
your
know. There's been a lot of like cutting in and out.
the feed the
On my end, there's been like internet stutters, which doesn't help. This will quickly become our least popular episodes for the live part, live viewing, because apparently internet decided to hate me today.
Everyone's on YouTube streaming the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there is that.
Oh god damn it.
There was Jessie had some problems with her stream.
You can't say that. You have to say superb owl.
Superb owl.
Oh, that's what it should be. But
I mean, I might watch it if it was that. Instead, it's a sport I don't even understand.
I do. I just stopped watching it at some point.
Oh, I understand it. Yeah, I understand it. And, you know, when I was a kid, I was a fan.
Yeah.
And then as you learn more about the sports science, and
Yep.
it's just gladiatorial combat. It's really not, it's bad for society to have that going on. But we don't need to branch off into that.
Are you recording, Ozma?
like we should still be going. It just might be really slow.
Okay. Are you recording? That wasn't really
Recording.
Yeah.
No, but I can start.
Emily is saying it's dead.
Yeah, it's dead.
Is it dead?
I think so.
Well, I'm not sure it's dead. I haven't seen the death yet.
I mean, it still says live on the whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it might just be filled with lag.
Yeah.
I assume it's an internet issue on my end. I started recording it. But I think what's going to happen is just like there's going to be a huge fucking time delay. And then when people rewatch it, it'll just go normally.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Well, I'm recording it now, anyways.
Emily Chambers said, never mind. So possibly it restarted for her.
Yeah, I'm not getting it still.
I'm getting it, but it's like really far back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's
like
probably
really far back, like half an hour ago back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's probably going to be that like we won't have the live. I won't be able to live talk with crap. That's probably what's going to happen. This is an episode that we're doing live. That's just not going to show up for anyone live. And I'm still getting like constant internet hiccups, so I assume it's just an internet fuck up. It wouldn't surprise me if Zavaris is like fucking watching the Super Bowl at the same time, so that probably you know, I'm just gonna blame Zavaris for all of this.
Yeah, well,
he's gonna have to do an apology stream.
Yeah, if he can't, he's not here to defend himself. So
let's take a vote.
We have very good.
I vote for Zavaris getting an apology stream.
Right. Surely blame can be apportioned by an authoritative vote, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was talking to one more thing on the internet. I was talking to Lori a couple weeks ago, my ex-wife and mother of Cyrus. say, well, look, we've can we suggest that Cyrus put a limiter on his internet, just a speed limiter, because there's been many a times that we have very good speed, but with 4 of us, and it was 5 of us at one point, but with 4 of us, it takes if all of us are on at once, then whoever has the best machine is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Is basically how that goes. And Lori said, well, you're online all the time, so why isn't it you? I said, because I already have a speed limiter online. I don't go over a quarter of the possible bandwidth. So there, yeah.
But yeah, back to the subject at hand. The other subject at hand. The first subject at hand. Not the technical issues subject at hand. Because I don't think there's a way for to fix that. I think it's just going to be... I think the stream is just going to be, like, fucking behind or whatever. And, I'm not sure there's anything we can do about that. I could be wrong.
Does your internet poop out at parties?
But anyways, so
you're perfect the only one who'd get that.
But like, words. I got sidetracked by the technical problems. So.
Oh, ableism generally. The last thing I did was on that. It's a part of my life that I never talked about.
Yeah, and because not being able to do something, it's like an all or nothing thing with society. You can either do stuff, and therefore you can do anything the average person can do, or you can't do anything. So, like, if someone stands up in a wheelchair, oh, they must be faking it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how wheelchairs work.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can walk between your house and your car, then you should be able to run a mile or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, if you really had dedication, you could work your way up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe work harder at your physical therapy or whatever.
Not how that works.
Well, no. I watched this thing. There was a guy, and he had no legs, and he managed to get up to where he was running a marathon. On.
Cool.
Yeah, but then he killed people, so
Right?
that was the best. Not really the best role model.
But yeah,
I'm just saying, there's always the story of I watched a thing or saw a thing, or read a thing, and
well, one of those feel-good stories of
and
somebody with a disability pushing themselves to do an able-bodied thing.
I was able for a while.
Exactly.
I mean, if you can play guitar at a show for an hour, then you can do whatever. It's like, one of the reasons I don't schedule things too close together is because I have to lie down for 3 days after them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The neuroatypical aspect, like, and once again, I can mostly only talk about myself, because I haven't studied super far into every thing out there, but like one of the things that hurt my ability to do chores was with relation to sleep issues and sensitivity to sound. So Zavaris works in the living room, and the dishes are in the kitchen. And there were times when, like, there are times when I couldn't cope with the sounds Zavaris was making from working.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I couldn't cope with the dealing with dishes in that environment. It's so hard to explain also because, like, most people usually frame it from a neurotypical standpoint where it's just like, oh yeah, I've had days when I just didn't want to do this or whatever, and it's like, no, it's not that simple. It's not just like an annoying thing. It's a strong emotional reaction to it, and it's hard to, you know what? I just process that it's hard to explain autism spectrum stuff sometimes from a neurotypical standpoint, because obviously a fair amount of the time I'm not like super bothered by stuff, but like, you know, in the right circumstances, it's like I just want to shut everything out. And it's like and I know it's on my end, and I know it's not on any of your ends. So I mean, admittedly, it's partially Zavaris' fault. Or Comcast.
Yes, but also you have to realize that according to YouTube right now, even I am not watching this.
Yeah. We
Seriously,
see
they
ourselves.
have 0 people are watching. Oh, now 1 is watching it.
Yeah. No, it's
When
it's...
it's.
Oh, yeah. So like, yeah, that's with.
It's not just you having a problem.
Well, yes, I
They
know
have to
it's
be
not
having
just me
something of a
having a
problem, too.
problem.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of bad luck, and we'll have to.
We'll have
you
to
know what that
start-
means, R&D. It means we'll have to schedule you again sometime this year so we can talk in such a way, in a non-choppy episode. Because holy shit.
It'll all go out. It's just.
Well,
it's
yeah, no,
not-
it'll all go out fine.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, it's distracting as hell on my end. Because I'm seeing it, like,
Do what you need
because
to
I'm
do
seeing
to-
in the
to
lower
not
left-hand
have
corner
that.
of the Streamlabs OBS, there's the triangle, and it's up to like 33 times it had connection issues, and like, you know, every time it reconnects, it like blinks, sort of in and out. The screen does, and it's just like reconnecting, and it's just like, god damn it. And then the timer. Oh no, Perfict's gone.
Everyone's leaving now.
Yeah, no.
Let me get back to that. So it's,
Yeah, sorry.
it's Zanzi's video, the clip that has that particular thing in it. It's called "We See Ourselves Reflected in Others and We Hate It," and he clipped out that one section, which was really good.
Yes.
So.
Also,
Yeah.
I will fucking always internally. There are people
Wow, I
that
was
I
gone for a
really
little bit
like and want to support, and like Sophia, even though we had a bit of a tussle, God damn it! Why the fuck did I decide to use British slang there? Um,
That's the word I would have used.
it's because Sophia's British. That's why I'm blaming that for the reason. Clarabelle, Caitlin. Although I haven't checked to see if their YouTube status and obviously URND, but also Zanzi, who is like one of the few streamers that I actually watch. I'll be honest.
I do watch his clip. No, I think you and you R&D and Perfict and Zonzi. This is I think you will be okay with me saying that this is a discussion we had offline. About allyship, which we decided not to go into on the show, which is not the reason there was no particular reason. We just had so much to deal with that it was and then we had to focus a little bit.
No. But if you guys ever do have me back, I would love to talk about allyship, because I mean, I know you all have like, you know, trans allyship is important for you all, but I also get to like it's something that my wife has to deal with all the time, being white married to me. So I have lots of opinions about allyship, and especially this last year, which I feel like has made me question a lot of how much of an ally a lot of people are this last year.
I'm pretty sure this last year, if you consider it starting from February 2021, or sorry, February 2020 is what I meant, is clearly the year of the trans, because so many people came out in this past year. It's just Sterling came out, Abbey came out,
Abbey Thorne,
Elliot.
I suppose
not you two. You talking general.
Hannah came out a year.
I thought she came out. Yeah, I think she came out earlier. But
end of last year, yeah.
I think maybe
2019.
Yeah, late 2019. It's just
this last year doesn't count for much, except for a lot of people got to know who they were.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe stuck at home all day, you get to figure out like, hey, gotta do something. Might as well be introspective.
Given a year of navel gazing, they figured it out, right?
Yeah.
Introspective, but not solipsistic.
Yeah.
Well, some people were solipsistic, but
I'm actually at this point. I'm keeping a count of how many of the people I follow come out. So it is at 12.
There have been a few celebrities as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because
I'm just talking about non-binary or trans. Coming out, bisexual or polysexual or all this other kind of stuff. Then the number goes up to pretty much everybody I follow except for Steve Shaw.
You're just like I'm waiting, Steve Shaw.
Come on, Steve. What's your
Tavares is also the other person you're likely waiting.
Yeah, how many do I subscribe to with notifications? Less than 50. So, I subscribe to about 300, but that way they'll just appear on my front page.
I'm terrible with all that stuff.
I do about 50, and most of them have one video a month or something. But yeah, it's been an interest. It's been.
I mean that's what I'm gonna blame it on, is just being like, if you're stuck by yourself and you got to think about that shit.
I mean, yeah.
At this point, the straight cis pendulum on my my feed is pretty swung over to the trans and bi or pan or poly or however. This sounds dismissive, and I'm not being dismissive.
Oh no. But it's true, yeah.
I'm pan with a very heavy lesbian leaning. I'm more into girls since I started transition than I was before. If that makes any sense.
Emily brings up another point, talking about person first language, which I forget about. It's something that's often criticized in terms of like telling people how to identify themselves, like which is a point that I've heard talked about. I mean, this is why like I try to slide with the language as it goes. Usually people have a good point somewhere deep down, even if they don't explain it well. That's usually what happens when people want something like that. I mean, like, I can refer to myself as autistic or whatnot.
I would never refer to myself as an autist, because that's kind of like, what does that even mean? That's not a thing. Or maybe it is.
Hoity-toity artist.
No, autist. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
No, we're not in Boston.
Yeah, so like
drawn all the time like some kind of artist.
This is one of those things where I'm still bad about the way I utilize language sometimes, because of being, well, it's because of probably a lot of different reasons. I mean, obviously I was taught one way and then had to spend time unlearning some things and learning new things, and that's definitely something that I need to improve. The utilization of language when it comes to disabled people, because like it is, once again, if I'm quoting Emily Chambers a bunch, it's because I see her in chat and because
she keeps saying really smart things.
Yeah, she does actually say good things, but she's also good at giving disability advocacy information, and
Yes.
And that is something I still need to improve on. And the other thing she brought up, by the way, is coming out as disabled is also a thing.
Yeah, which I suppose I just did.
Yeah. No, you know what? Secretly, Christy, this whole show has just been to try to get you to come out about like as many things as possible. Got you to come out as demisexual, and I got you to come out as about your disability, about being disabled or whatnot. So like,
until you gave me the word, I didn't actually have a term for it. So
yeah, no, I know. That's one of those things where it's. I mean, I didn't have a word for it either, and like, that was another thing where it's just like I didn't know I didn't know what was common or what was uncommon, and like, there's a lot of assumed sexual activity that's not shown on TV shows that I didn't ever instinctively think of. But
I I don't know. I have two different things I want to do, so I'm gonna have to pick one because both of them are gonna be long.
Flip a coin.
1984. Language. Since your Twitter, your Twitter tag is
Newspeak.
actually read 1984.
Oh, by
it's
the way,
one
I've
of those
also
things-
read 1984. By the way, it's a
I
good
have an
one.
English degree. It's like the one time that I get to like actually use it. It's like I have an English degree. You're all wrong.
Yeah, one of the things that really annoys me is that every time we try and use more inclusive language, people go, "That's very Orwellian." It's like, no, that's the exact opposite of Orwellian. That
Yeah.
is more language.
More language, yes.
And the idea of Newspeak was giving less language, so people had no terms for how they
That's
were.
double good.
The double plus good.
Double plus.
Double plus good.
Yeah.
Plus good, double plus good. Sorry,
But also,
it's a Eurythmic song.
but also, oh, wow! I sorry, I got distracted for a second because I didn't know that Eurythmic song. I like the Eurythmics.
Oh, you should listen to the 1984 soundtrack then, because none of the songs appeared in the songs didn't wind up appearing in the movie, but they released the album anyway.
Huh.
So,
Sex
Crime and Double Plus Good are good, are worthwhile on that album. The rest of it, yeah.
But yeah, so like, another aspect of 1984 was telling you how you should think about a circumstance or whatnot.
It had to do, well, the entire idea of society was to subvert the outsiders to it. Which is, yeah, so every time they say, you trans this or able that or whatever,
New pronouns.
yeah, they go, it's all newspeak. It's like, no, it's so the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And it's enforcing a certain kind of culture on everybody. I'm not forcing anybody to be trans. I'm also telling people they can't define me. That's not up to them. I mean, unless it's asshole, in which case,
You people with your pronouns.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? The
If I could take a moment to have my tirade about the Super Bowl thing.
Certainly.
If you go and just look into and look up what information you can find, it's the internet, you can find a lot, on the repetitive head injuries in sports and the expected results of them and the long-term effects that they've found for them in specifically dealing with football, and you will be so magnificently disgusted. It is like factory farming. It just has an effect on you. You cannot watch football ever again. You just watch it and you go, wow, this is a really amazing athletic event, and it is disgusting as hell.
Yeah,
it becomes, you can't watch it because you can't forget what you've learned. It keeps creeping back in. There's no way to sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah, reading the studies, because while my degree is in theology, my actual background is in neuropsychology. So so I read the studies when they started really coming in, although we kind of known about that in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, we've known that's the other thing. We've known a lot of this for a long time.
One of the I mean, one of the things I said at the time was, I think if OJ did it, he definitely doesn't remember.
Yeah.
That was pretty clear. Yeah, it's been pretty terrible. Yeah, and once I read the studies, there was no way I was going to watch it again. I just couldn't. I couldn't morally bring myself to do it.
But I mean, people talk about boxing, and boxing is bad. Boxing has a huge going. Football's just way worse than boxing. And boxing is bad.
Yeah, boxing is really bad depending on how many times you get hit in the head.
I remember, and this was early 90s, because yeah, old Windows, when there was still bulletin boards before the before World Wide Web. One guy, when I was arguing about this, he said, next you'll want to be taking boxing out of the Olympics. Since you mentioned it. He said, what I said was, what I replied was, I'm not advocating for it, but if someone to come up and ask me, should boxing be in the Olympics, I'd say no.
Yeah, I mean, Olympic boxing still has more
still boxing,
to try to reduce damage than regular boxing, but then that creates other problems potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, traumatic brain injuries are a messy thing. And, you know, although
well, yeah,
I only
probably
know
got
of
some
my
insight
traumatic
on that.
brain injury.
Yeah, you got to say your brain got attacked from the outside and mine from the inside.
But it's the repetitive repetitive thing, and it's the
that prevents
you're going to be
the ability
smashing
to
into
heal.
each other every down, and every doing it on Sunday, and then you're going to be practicing all week and doing the same sorts of things.
Yeah,
and it gets
Yeah. I don't think there's any disagreement in this room.
Oh, I didn't expect there was, but if anybody who's listening, just go out and look it up, and it will ruin it for you.
Yeah.
It certainly did me, but as far back as I guess 1991, 92, I was on this, and I still watched it for a little while until the new round of studies after Junior Seau killed himself. So,
yeah,
I think that was my breaking point. So whatever year that was.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where I think a lot of people, when they talk about it, it's like, oh, so you shouldn't, so I shouldn't enjoy sports then, or something. Oftentimes gets ended up that ends up being like the sort of talking point, and it's just like, no, that's not. There's no requirement for you to like a specific sport or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you see that a lot, not just with sports, but just to like bring it back, you see that with just about everything. Like I did a race and ethnicity class last semester, and one of the things that we talked about is like how problematic movies are. Like we watched I think Raiders of the Lost Ark, and how just problematic that movie is and the blatant racism. And the teacher's like, you can still like it, just know that it's really bad. Like, you don't have to, like, no one's saying you have to absolutely, you cannot watch a movie unless it's approved by, all people of color or whatever. Like, you can still whatever. It's just you got to also understand what you're getting yourself into when you do. And if it's too much for you, then don't. Like, you don't have to like football because moral qualms, or you don't have to like whatever other sport for moral qualms.
Yeah, Temple of Doom was really
Oh, that one's way worse.
Yeah, I tried to watch
Okay.
that and it was like, oh dear.
Yep.
Yeah. There's certain things where it's confronting you with it. I'm just saying that football gets destroyed. It's like Mel Gibson. Watching a Mel Gibson movie, it can destroy it because sometimes it just keeps breaking the thing and you're thinking about the tirade he went into. Or Kevin Spacey, where, you go, it just keeps breaking. The immersion in
American
watching the movie.
Beauty.
You can't enjoy what the action. Right. You go, it's just, American Beauty is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't get immersion in it. It gets kind of unwatchable
Well,
as
yeah.
a result.
Especially considering subject matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because of the underage
And
person.
you go, it just doesn't work. You can't do it anymore. And you go and you watch football and you're just like, you can't help but you keep thinking about these things. You keep thinking about that. It keeps coming up to you. It just creeps into your brain.
Yeah, and
where you think about the repetitive head injuries that are going on the field right now, that play. And
yeah,
it's
see that this is why basketball is better.
disturbing.
What?
Clearly, basketball is the best sport, and objectively the best sport. It's the right amount of it's the right amount of interest with the least amount of head injuries. Not to say that there aren't ever head injuries, but it's not like a common thing. Ankle injuries are like, actually that's like a more common one for basketball.
No, I stopped watching football mostly for the racism. Yeah. The racism is the thing that got me first.
What are you saying? The fact that coaches of teams don't really have an instinct against supporting a black quarterback?
Yeah,
saying that's a racist.
That's a racist thing. I mean, from not just that, from we still have what were the Kansas City Chiefs? Is that what they are today? That are playing?
Oh yeah.
Like, we still have that shit. Like, Jesus fuck, it's the modern age, and we still have that garbage going on.
Yeah.
We got rid of. I think the Redskins are gone. Sorry if anybody for using that term.
Well,
I
you
think
wouldn't
they're gone.
interfere with brand loyalty, would you?
They're called the Washington team now. They don't actually have a name.
They don't actually. Okay, I know that they were getting rid of it, but yeah, like that's it took what till a year or two ago.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. Like that's also just so much racism in football. I'm okay with not partaking in that.
That said, we are getting close to the end of the stream, and hopefully I might make sure the ending thing lasts a little bit longer, just to make sure it all goes up there. Well, I'm actually gonna open up the YouTube so I can actually see what's going on better.
I think Emily's been active in the chat, so my guess is that it's still going.
Well, yeah, no. I just want to make sure if there's ever another stream hiccup that I can tell when it I want to make sure the information doesn't steam chop its way down. Anyways, let's start with you, R&D. Where can people find you, or is there anything that you're working on?
I am working on maybe getting my channel back and going again.
Yeah,
I'm Rhetoric and
it
Discourse.
seemed a bit like I didn't. I was like looking at what subject might be a good thing to do on your channel, and I was like, this has not been updated in a while.
Ooh. Yeah, my channel's on a bit of a hiatus as I've been dealing with personal issues. As we have talked, I came out as polyamorous, which when you're in a monogamous marriage is a difficult conversation to have. So I've been dealing with kind of personal stuff, and so I've taken a break from regular YouTube stuff and just kind of do this kind of like, hey, let's go on people's shows for a while. But you can find me on YouTube as Rhetoric and Discourse. You can find old streams, probably nothing new. Eventually I'll get back into doing that. Otherwise, I'm on Reddit as Rhet and Disc, or actually Red 1984 currently. So you can find me there tweeting about cats and politics for the most part.
Oh, and you're on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah, Rhet and Disc.
Rest and Disc on Twitter.
We'll have
I do D&D. I guess I do D&D stuff if people are into that, but I do. Yeah, I do.
Doing that with Christy and Chrissy.
Yeah, I do two D&D streams a week. I DM on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. I think it's called D&D with Christy Winters or something like that. I forget what the channel's called. But it's with Christy Winters and Christiosity, Microblognism, and Awkward Pasta, and Jess, who is also on Twitters, but I don't think has a YouTube thing. So it's a good group of people. Just if you're into D&D and like that kind of stuff.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
the difference. I named myself after the two of them.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
Perfect. Where can people find you? You're the quick one.
At the Rumpus Room, the Discord channel Rumpus Room, and if they aren't getting enough of me, they can always listen to me here.
Yeah. Unless, of course, it's a pre-record and you forget about the fact that it's pre-record that day, even though I asked, like, a couple days beforehand, you're like, yeah, everything's fine. And then you're just, like, totally... No, it's not a problem. I totally understand, like, life fucking happens and things
That's going to haunt me.
It's fine. It's the only one you've missed so far. I've missed more than you have. I've missed 2.5, so.
Christy, where can people find you?
I'm at Normality Quake on Twitter. I am Christy Abbey, pretty much like it is there, except without a space in between the two names. On YouTube, I had Zanzi on this last week. Yeah, Zanzi was the last one I had. And I don't have one for Tuesday yet, but I will. And next week, I will have something for my birthday. Yeah. I'm hoping to get Siren on to do something. And the week after that will be, now I can finally say it, will be Scott Niceman and Wander of Nerd Sync.
I'm forever jealous of you. I've been a fan of Scott Nicewander's work for like a while, and so yeah, I'm jealous. I've been probably trying to contact him in the wrong method, and either that or the flute voice sort of thing isn't as interesting to him. Regardless, still jealous.
It took a while to set up, so.
I mean, to be fair, you've been doing this stuff longer, and a fair amount of people know you. A surprising number of people know you.
Part of the reason I get to do a lot of what I get to do is just I've been around so damn long. And that's true of the music business around here and everything. I've just been here. So
yeah.
I must know what I'm doing.
As for me, you can find me at Ozma in the Dark on YouTube. You can find me here on this channel twice a week. You can find me on Twitter at Talking to Nothing. You can find me on Twitch, usually on Saturdays and Sundays, streaming Raid. This weekend, I didn't have enough spoons for it, so I kind of took this weekend off. I was really on the fence about it, but I think I made the right decision there. You can find me on Tuesday. I'm going to be talking with Sophia on her channel. I'm going to be... I can't remember what the topic it might have been. It might be about like something bitchy Rose of Dawn is doing. So you should definitely check out Sophia's channel. She has news regularly. That said, due to creative differences, LGBTQ rants will no longer be showing up. That said, at around the same time for about half an hour, we will be doing a quick YouTube little weekly news thing with Callan and Christy. You did say you were on board, right? Yeah. And we don't have a name set in stone. My first instinct was queer news that you can use, but
I would love it, except it won't pass the you're not really supposed to use that word.
What?
You're not supposed to use that word on YouTube.
Oh, you're not? Oh.
No, as a title. You can use it in the stream or, your video.
Oh, yeah, no. I was going to, for the title
of
the episodes, I was just going to use, like, QNYU.
I'm subscribed to Queer Kiwi, so,
Yeah, QNYU would be how it would be titled. So that should be fine, right?
Yes, Queer, like I said, I get notifications for Queer Kiwi, who's a wonderful YouTuber, and I'm just going to shout her out for no apparent reason.
Anyways.
It's because it came to mind as soon as I said that because they stomped on me for it at one point.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
I don't know why I'm like getting all somber about this. It's just weird YouTube algorithm bullshit. Yeah. So, anyways, with that,
I'll do it. It's okay.
Okay, good. Because
your life,
because I forgot it. Like I said, the only reason I remembered it last time was because I said it earlier in the week.
First, you do the YouTube prayer. Please like and subscribe.
Oh yeah. Please like and subscribe. Hit the bell share. Hit a notification bell. Leave a comment. Yeah, go to our Patreon. We need to sort out the breakdown there. Eventually. Share it if you enjoy. Like I said before, leave feedback. If there's a topic you'd really like us to try to cover, or possibly even try to get a good guest for, we will try to listen to that, and or if there's a guest you'd really like to see, we can try to get the guest on, although some people are harder to get a hold of than others.
Yes.
That said, the other thing, your life matters, your voice matters, and you matter.
It's a conviction.
Sorry. I was uncertain if I had gotten that right.
You got it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm just so, like, my confidence levels for it is so low. Anyways. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.